Welcome to TERAFLORA Studio, a space where creativity blossoms and nature finds its voice in every corner. Here, we believe that beauty does not need to be grand to be meaningful. Sometimes it is hidden in the smallest leaf, in the way light touches wood, or in the gentle sound of water. Every design we share is an invitation to slow down, to look closer, and to rediscover harmony in the simple acts of making and growing. As you watch, I invite you to imagine not just the finished projects, but the quiet process of creating them. Feel the warmth of morning sunlight falling across your hands as you shape, plant, or build. Listen to the whisper of leaves stirred by the breeze, the soft rhythm of water flowing through stones, the laughter of children discovering hidden corners of a garden. These are not just images or ideas. They are pieces of life, woven into spaces that you can call your own. It is important to say with honesty, this content has been prepared with the assistance of AI, a tool that helps us gather inspiration, structure stories, and share them with you in ways that feel clear and alive. Yet the heart of these ideas remains human, rooted in the love of nature and the joy of creating with our hands. If these stories and inspirations bring you calm, if they spark a little desire to try something new in your own home or garden, then let us continue this journey together. Subscribe to TERAFLORA Studio and allow each video to be a gentle companion, guiding, inspiring, and reminding you that beauty can be found in every season, in every corner, one quiet creation at a time. When we look around our homes, there are always objects that seem to have lost their purpose. An old pallet leaning against a wall, glass bottles gathering dust, or even a weathered window frame no longer holding glass. Yet, within these forgotten pieces lies an invitation, the chance to breathe life into what was once considered waste. This is the gentle art of upcycling, a craft that not only saves resources but also brings a touch of poetry into the corners of our daily life. Imagine walking into your garden and seeing an old wooden pallet reborn as a coffee table. In the center, instead of plain wood, a planter brims with herbs, basil, rosemary, mint, spilling their fragrance into the air. The surface, once rough, now tells a story of patience and care, each line of grain glowing under the afternoon light. It is not just a table. It becomes a living companion, blending functionality with nature's rhythm. Step onto a balcony in the early hours of morning, where the soft golden light rests on recycled glass bottles. Hung carefully as lamps, they capture the sunlight before the evening when they glow softly with a warm light of their own. Above the plant shelf, the glass shimmers with subtle reflections, making the whole space hum with quiet elegance. Here, the mundane becomes magical, and ordinary mornings turn into moments of grace. Inside, an old window frame that once opened to the world is given a second life. Standing against the wall, it now holds rows of tiny pots filled with succulents and trailing ferns. When the daylight streams through, shadows of leaves fall like delicate lace across the frame, reminding you that even in stillness, beauty grows. It is no longer a window to the outside, but a window to renewal, proof that nothing is ever truly broken when touched with imagination. Upcycling is not about perfection. It is about listening to wood, to glass, to history, and responding with gentle hands. It teaches us to see value where others see waste, and to create warmth where emptiness once lingered. In these simple acts, we are reminded that beauty does not always come from buying new, but from reimagining what is already within reach. And perhaps, as you try your own hand at these projects, you'll find not just decoration, but a deeper harmony between your life and the world around you. There is something deeply comforting about creating a small garden in a limited space. It does not matter if you have a wide backyard or only a modest patio. Even the tiniest corner can be transformed into a pocket of beauty. A mini garden whispers to us that nature does not need grandeur to be powerful. It only needs presence. Picture a clay tower standing in the sun, layered with herbs and flowers that spill from every tier. Rosemary brushes against basil, marigolds peek between mint leaves, and tiny pansies add a playful burst of color. The fragrance dances in the air, and as you brush your fingers gently across the leaves, you taste freshness before it even reaches your plate. This tower becomes more than decoration. It becomes an act of living art, a reminder that food and beauty can grow side by side. Step indoors to a glass corner where a terrazzo bowl rests. Inside, small succulents rise among colorful pebbles like a miniature desert scene. The window light pours in, casting sharp yet delicate shadows across the surface. This tiny garden does not shout for attention. It simply exists, quietly shaping the mood of the room. It teaches us that even the smallest living things can bring serenity, making a house feel more like a sanctuary. Then, in another nook of the home, water trickles softly from a clay pot into a shallow basin. Around it, moss and small green plants gather, drinking from the source. The sound of flowing water blends with the morning breeze, creating an orchestra of calmness that fills the space with peace. Sitting beside this little fountain, you do not need to travel to a forest. You can feel the same renewal right here, within your own home. The art of a mini garden lies in its scale. Small, yes, but filled with meaning. It is about slowing down, noticing details, and cherishing them. Every leaf becomes important, every drop of water precious. And when you build such a corner for yourself, you are not just planting. You are weaving tranquility into your daily rhythm. A tiny garden, in its quiet way, can transform not only a space but also the heart that tends it. Nature speaks to us not only through colors but also through textures. The roughness of wood, the coolness of stone, the softness of moss. Each one carries a voice, a memory, and a rhythm of the earth. When we weave these elements into our gardens, we are not just decorating spaces, we are creating a dialogue with the natural world. Imagine walking barefoot on a pathway where smooth river stones are laid beside rustic planks of wood. Each step alternates between warmth and coolness, between grain and polish, reminding you that balance in life often comes from contrast. The moss creeping along the edges feels like nature's gentle whisper, softening the hard lines and adding a tender green cushion that makes you want to linger. At the edge of a backyard, a small wall rises, half stone, half raw wood. Its surfaces tell a story of endurance. Stone, unyielding and ancient. Wood, warm and full of character. Across this wall, vines find their way upward, slowly embracing both materials. This quiet fusion shows us how different textures can coexist, how even opposites can blend into harmony when given time and care. Then, in a sitting nook, the floor itself becomes art. Gravel crunches softly underfoot, while cut wooden slices form stepping pads that look like echoes of a forest. As sunlight filters through leaves above, the textures glow with warmth. The gravel sparkles faintly, the wood carries subtle rings of history, and the air smells of earth and freshness. This is not just design. It is a sensory poem, one you can see, touch, and feel. The gift of working with natural textures is that they never feel forced. They do not age poorly. They mature with dignity. Over time, wood darkens and deepens. Stones gather a sheen of memory. Moss spreads its soft carpet. Every year, your garden becomes not only more beautiful but also more alive. To create such spaces is to acknowledge the wisdom of nature. That beauty is not in uniformity but in layers, not in gloss but in authenticity. When you let stone, wood, and moss share a stage, you give your garden not just a design, but a soul. There is something magical about watching walls come alive. Instead of standing as cold, silent barriers, they transform into breathing canvases filled with leaves, textures, and whispers of nature. A vertical garden is not only a clever solution for small spaces. It is a statement that beauty can grow upward, climbing toward the light. Imagine stepping into your backyard and seeing an entire wall covered in pockets of green. Fabric planters hold basil, mint, and parsley alongside bursts of marigold and lavender. The air is filled with fragrance, and every step you take brings you closer to a harvest of both beauty and flavor. In the afternoon light, the wall glows with layers of color. reminding you that abundance can exist even when space is limited. Elsewhere, a bamboo fence once ordinary is now alive with cascading plants. Ferns spill downward like green waterfalls, vines curl upward seeking the sun, and tiny flowers peek out shyly. The natural texture of bamboo blends perfectly with the foliage, creating a seamless dialogue between man-made structure and nature's artistry. As the morning sun pours across the fence, it becomes not just a divider of space, but a bridge between the indoors and the wild. Inside the home, a moss wall breathes calm into the room. Half of it is lush with soft green moss that absorbs sound and cools the air, while the other half holds a curated collection of small potted plants. When daylight streams through the windows, the wall looks like a living painting, ever-changing as the shadows shift. It brings the forest into the home, not through imitation but through genuine presence. Vertical gardens teach us to think differently about growth. Plants no longer need to stay at ground level. They can climb, dangle, and thrive in places we once overlooked. A blank wall becomes a storybook, every pocket a chapter, every leaf a word. And as you nurture it, you find yourself not just tending to plants but also cultivating patience, creativity, and joy. A vertical garden is more than design. It is proof that when we look up instead of down, we discover new possibilities waiting quietly on our walls. There is a kind of magic that lives quietly in small details. It doesn't announce itself with grandeur, but waits patiently to be noticed, like a hidden story waiting inside a garden corner. A fairy garden brings that magic to life, turning ordinary spaces into landscapes of imagination, where the small becomes wondrous and the everyday becomes enchanted. Imagine a tiny stone house nestled in moss, with a roof that glistens after the morning dew. Around it, mushrooms pop up as if they were neighbors leaning in to greet one another. Flowers bloom in bursts of color, and their fragrance fills the air with a sweetness that feels almost like a secret being shared. In this miniature village, the child in you awakens, reminded that wonder is never far away. Now, picture a winding path made from broken ceramic pieces, each shard shining brightly under the sun. As you follow the trail with your eyes, tiny fairy lights strung along the edges flicker softly, even in daylight, as if they were little guardians guiding your journey. This path does not lead far, but it carries you inward, to a place where imagination becomes real. Then, in another corner, a fairy cottage rises, built from twigs and bark. Its walls lean slightly, imperfect yet full of charm. Around it, moss spreads like a green carpet, and delicate plants bend gently in the breeze. Sunlight filters through the leaves, casting a warm glow on the tiny structure, as if blessing it with life. Standing there, you can almost hear faint laughter carried on the wind, the whispers of stories untold. A fairy garden is not just decoration, it is an invitation. It invites you to slow down, to look closer, and to believe in small wonders again. It shows that beauty can exist in the simplest of forms. A stone, a twig, a shard of pottery. When you place them together with care, they become more than objects. They become portals to joy. Perhaps the true gift of a fairy garden is not in how it looks, but in how it makes you feel. Calm, playful, and deeply connected to a world where every leaf is alive with possibility. And as you tend to it, you tend also to the childlike wonder that still blooms quietly within you. Borders may seem like the simplest part of a garden, yet they carry the power to define, to frame, and to give shape to beauty. Just as a picture needs a frame to highlight its art, so too does a garden flourish when its edges are given thoughtful care. In these borders, both creativity and nature find their perfect meeting point. Imagine a pathway lined with curved wooden edging, each piece shaped gently to follow the natural flow of the land. The wood's grain glows warmly under the sun, its tones shifting with age and weather. Alongside it, flowers lean gently toward the light, daisies, lavender, and marigolds, each bloom framed and celebrated by the soft, rustic border. Walking down this path feels like entering a story where every step is guided by balance and intention. Elsewhere, a flower bed is wrapped in a mosaic border crafted from broken ceramic tiles. What was once discarded has been reborn into something radiant. The fragments, each unique in color and pattern, join together to create a shimmering edge that reflects the sunlight. Inside the bed, plants stretch upward, their colors echoing the vibrancy of the mosaic. It is as if the earth itself is smiling, reminding us that broken pieces can still form something whole and beautiful. In a quieter corner, the border is not wood or stone but living plants. Creeping thyme and sedum weave together into a soft, green frame that hums with life. Bees hover lazily above the blossoms, their wings catching glimmers of light, while the fragrance of thyme drifts into the breeze. Here, the edge is alive, growing, and ever-changing. It blurs the line between structure and nature, creating a border that feels more like a gentle embrace. Garden borders teach us that beauty is not only in the centerpiece but also in the details. They guide the eye, shape the journey, and offer rhythm to the landscape. More importantly, they remind us that even boundaries can be places of creativity, not limits but invitations. With wood, stone, tile, or plant, a border becomes not just a line on the ground but a celebration of the garden itself. Outdoor spaces are more than just extensions of our homes. They are stages for memory, laughter, and quiet reflection. And nothing defines such spaces better than the furniture we create for them. Rustic outdoor furniture, especially when made by our own hands, carries a character that no store-bought item can match. Feels personal, rooted, and timeless. Picture a backyard where an old pallet, once discarded, has been transformed into a bench. Sanded, painted, and topped with cushions, it now offers a place to rest after tending the garden. Around it, flowers lean closer, their colors reflecting in the wood's grain. Each nail and joint tells a story of effort, of hands that refuse to let wood go to waste. When you sit there, you don't just feel supported, you feel connected, part of a cycle where nothing is forgotten. In another corner, a table stands strong, carved from a slice of tree trunk. The rings within its surface reveal decades of growth, and when the sunlight hits, they shine like ripples frozen in time. Around the table, small potted plants gather as if in quiet conversation, their leaves reaching toward the wood as though recognizing kinship. Here, your morning coffee becomes more than a routine. It becomes a ritual of gratitude for the slow, patient work of nature. On the patio, mismatched wooden chairs, once worn and forgotten, now carry new life. Sanded and brushed with natural finishes, they wear their imperfections like badges of honor. A lantern rests on the table, waiting for evening when its glow will add warmth to the night. In daylight, shadows of leaves fall gently across the surface, weaving patterns that change with every passing hour. The furniture is not uniform, not polished to perfection, but it is alive with character, whispering of resilience and creativity. The beauty of rustic furniture lies in its humility. It asks for little but offers much: comfort, charm, and the quiet pride of having been made by hand. By embracing reclaimed wood and natural forms, we are reminded that the imperfect can still be beautiful, and the old can always be renewed. In these humble creations, we don't just build furniture. We build stories, ready to hold the weight of our days and the warmth of our nights. Water has always held a special place in the human heart. Its sound soothes us, its movement mesmerizes us, and its presence brings life wherever it flows. Even in the smallest corner of a home, a water feature has the power to transform an ordinary space into a sanctuary of calm. Imagine a clay pot set in your garden, with water trickling gently from its mouth into a stone basin below. The rhythm is steady, like the heartbeat of the earth. Around it, plants lean closer, their leaves touched by tiny drops that leap into the air. As sunlight glistens on the ripples, the entire corner seems alive, humming with quiet music. This humble fountain becomes a place to pause, to listen, and to remember that peace often comes in the simplest forms. In another nook, Bamboo plays the role of storyteller. A spout carved from its hollow stem delivers a soft stream into a shallow pool, where pebbles rest like jewels at the bottom. Each drop that falls carries a note, and together they compose a melody of stillness. When the wind stirs, leaves above shift and scatter rays of sunlight across the water's surface, making it sparkle as though sprinkled with starlight. Sitting nearby, you feel both grounded and uplifted, as if nature has shared one of its oldest secrets with you. Inside the home, even the smallest space can hold water's grace. A bowl rests on a low table, its surface dotted with floating lotus flowers. Their petals open toward the daylight streaming through the window, mirroring the soft glow that dances on the water. The bowl is simple, yet the effect is profound. The room feels lighter, fresher, and filled with a quiet sense of wonder. The gift of a water feature is not just aesthetic, it is emotional. It invites you to slow down, to breathe deeper, and to connect with rhythms larger than yourself. In the gentle sound of water, we hear the reminder that life, like a stream, is always moving, always renewing. By bringing this element into your space, you invite serenity to flow freely through your days, one ripple at a time. Light is more than a tool to chase away the dark. It is a brushstroke that paints emotion across a space. In gardens, lighting becomes a way to extend the day into the night, to create warmth when the sun has gone, and to invite magic into places that might otherwise sleep. Picture a tall backyard tree, its branches wrapped with fairy lights that shimmer gently as dusk settles in. The glow does not overwhelm but caresses, turning each leaf into a tiny lantern. Children laugh beneath it, lovers sit quietly beside it, and even in solitude, the tree feels alive, holding stories within its golden embrace. This simple gesture transforms a familiar corner into a realm of wonder, reminding us that even the ordinary can glow with magic. Now walk along a rustic pathway where lanterns made from old tin cans light the way. Holes punched into the metal cast playful patterns onto the gravel. Stars, circles, swirls, each one dancing with every flicker of the flame inside. Recycling has turned waste into wonder, giving the garden both character and charm. As your footsteps fall in rhythm with the glowing patterns, the path feels less like a route and more like a journey. On the patio, solar lamps nestle quietly among the plants. By day, they go unnoticed, soaking in the sunlight. But as night arrives, they bloom with their own gentle radiance, making the plants shimmer like jewels in the shadows. The atmosphere is calm, intimate, and deeply human. It feels as though the garden itself is breathing softly, alive even when the world grows still. The beauty of lighting lies not in its brightness but in its tenderness. It does not shout, it whispers. It turns darkness into comfort, space into sanctuary, and nights into memories. By choosing fairy lights, lanterns, or solar lamps, we bring personality into our gardens, making them not only places to see but places to feel. A garden lit with care tells a story of warmth and welcome, a promise that beauty does not end with the sunset. It invites us to linger longer, to share conversations, to listen to the night, and to discover that even in the dark, there is light waiting to be found. There is a special kind of beauty in seeing plants rise into the air. Instead of resting quietly on the ground, they float, dangle, and sway, becoming part of the sky within our own homes. Hanging gardens remind us that greenery is not bound by soil or walls. It can climb, stretch, and dance where the light is brightest. Imagine stepping onto a balcony where macrame hangers sway gently in the breeze. Inside them, ivy spills down in long green ribbons while bright flowers bloom like small fireworks. The knots of the macrame, handmade and imperfect, hold the plants with tender strength. Sunlight pours across the scene, catching the leaves until they glow. In this elevated corner, the air feels lighter, fresher, as if every plant is reaching out to greet the morning. In a rustic garden nook, coconut shells once discarded now hang proudly as planters. Their rough textures cradle succulents and ferns, their roots curling into the natural curve of the shell. The morning sun paints them in gold, highlighting both the simplicity of the material and the lushness of the plants. Here, creativity and sustainability meet, proving that even the humblest object can carry life with elegance. Inside, near a wide window, a wire rack holds rows of potted plants that hover like little lanterns of green. When daylight streams through, the shadows of leaves fall playfully against the wall, shifting gently as the day passes. The room feels alive, vibrant not from decoration but from the pulse of nature itself. Sitting nearby, one cannot help but feel a sense of closeness to the outside world, even while remaining indoors. The art of hanging gardens is not about extravagance. It is about perspective. It asks us to look up, to notice how space above us can bloom just as richly as the ground below. It transforms walls, windows, and ceilings into unexpected stages for life. And in doing so, it teaches us that beauty grows not only in what we see at eye level, but also in the spaces we often forget to notice. A hanging garden is more than design. It is a reminder to live lightly, to rise with grace, and to let beauty float where the sun and the wind can carry it. In every home, there are forgotten objects. Pots with cracks, cans once emptied, shoes worn beyond repair. Most would see them as waste, yet with a little imagination, they can become vessels of life once more. Recycled pottery and container gardens celebrate this transformation, proving that beauty does not always come from perfection but from reinvention. Picture a cracked clay pot lying in a garden corner. Instead of being thrown away, it has been gently tilted, filled with soil, and planted with flowers that spill outward as though escaping joyfully from its broken form. The cracks, far from flaws, become part of the story, frames for roots and petals that thrive despite them. In the morning sun, this humble pot feels like a sculpture, alive with color and resilience. Nearby, a wooden shelf holds tin cans, each one painted in cheerful pastel shades. Basil rises from one, mint from another, while marigolds smile from the next. What was once plain and disposable now glows with charm, adding both fragrance and flavor to the air. The light catches the glossy paint and the bright leaves, making the entire setup feel playful yet purposeful. This is sustainability turned into art, a joyful union of utility and imagination. And then, perhaps the most surprising sight, an old pair of boots, scuffed and weary, now standing proudly as planters. Succulents sprout from their tops, their thick leaves contrasting beautifully with the worn leather. Sunlight gleams on the tiny plants, casting shadows that make them look like miniature forests. The boots, once symbols of journeys past, now carry new life, grounding the garden with humor and heart. Recycled containers remind us that beauty often lies hidden, waiting for us to see with new eyes. They teach us to honor what already exists, to find grace in the overlooked, and to create value where none was thought to remain. More than just eco-friendly gestures, these creations are acts of storytelling, each object carrying both its old history and its new purpose. A container garden is more than plants, it is a philosophy. It tells us that nothing is ever truly finished, that endings can become beginnings, and that even the simplest object, when filled with soil and love, can bloom into something extraordinary. A garden path is more than a way to walk. It is a journey, a thread that weaves through the green and guides both steps and thoughts. When stones, wood, and mosaics come together beneath our feet, the act of walking becomes poetry. Pathways remind us that movement itself can be art, that every step holds a story. Imagine strolling across a trail of smooth river stones, their surfaces cool and round underfoot. Between them, moss has claimed its place, softening edges and adding whispers of green. In the daylight, the stones glisten faintly as though the river still lingers in them. Each step feels grounding, a connection between body and earth, reminding you of the patience of water that shaped these stones over countless years. Elsewhere, a rustic path dazzles with handmade mosaic stepping stones. Broken ceramic shards, once scattered and forgotten, are reborn into brilliant patterns, flowers, stars, abstract shapes, all glowing under the sun. Walking this path is like stepping across fragments of joy, each stone a little painting beneath your feet. Children giggle as they hop from one to the next, and adults, too, cannot resist slowing down to admire the unexpected art. The path transforms the garden into a gallery, but one that is alive, fragrant, and always shifting with the seasons. In a quieter corner, wooden log slices serve as stepping pads across a bed of grass. Their rings reveal stories of age, each circle a year of growth and endurance. The grain glows warmly when the morning sun touches it, and the wood feels almost like an old friend, weathered yet welcoming. With every step, you walk not only on wood but on memory, history layered beneath your feet. Pathways and stepping stones remind us that beauty lies not only in destinations but in the act of moving through. They invite us to pause, to notice, and to celebrate the ground we tread upon. They teach us that journeys, whether in gardens or in life, can be made beautiful when we choose to honor each step. And perhaps that is their quiet magic, to turn a simple walk into a meditation, a string of moments stitched together by stone, wood, and light. Gardens change with the seasons, just as we do. Each moment of the year offers its own palette. Spring with its blossoms, summer with its abundance, autumn with its golden tones, and winter with its quiet grace. Seasonal and festive decorations remind us to celebrate these rhythms, to weave joy into our outdoor spaces, and to let the garden become a stage for memory and tradition. Imagine a spring afternoon when wildflowers, freshly picked, are gathered into handmade vases along a rustic table. Their colors, pink, yellow, violet, speak of renewal, of beginnings. The vases, simple and uneven, carry not just water but stories of hands that arranged them with care. Sunlight kisses each petal, making the entire table glow as though nature itself has joined the celebration. It is a reminder that beauty does not need to be purchased. It can be gathered, appreciated, and shared. As summer turns into festive evenings, the garden glows with bamboo lanterns placed among plants. Their warm light spills onto leaves and paths, creating playful shadows that sway with the breeze. Children chase fireflies, elders share stories, and friends laugh beneath the glow. The lanterns, crafted from simple bamboo, hold not just light but a sense of togetherness. They transform the night into something both intimate and alive. In winter's quiet, even a small pine tree in the garden can become a symbol of warmth. Adorned with wooden ornaments and natural garlands of dried fruit or leaves, it stands proud beneath soft daylight. Its decorations are humble, yet their meaning is rich. They honor tradition, simplicity, and the joy of creating with one's own hands. Even in the stillness of the cold, the garden becomes a place of light and memory. Seasonal decor teaches us to honor change, to see the garden not as fixed but as ever-evolving. Each celebration, be it spring bloom, summer festivity, or winter reflection, adds another layer of story to the space. The garden becomes not only a place of growth but also a canvas for the passing of time. In these decorations, we do not just embellish plants. We mark moments, cherish gatherings, and weave beauty into the cycles that shape our lives. Not every garden needs open skies. Sometimes the most intimate green spaces are those we create within our walls, nestled into corners where life unfolds quietly. An indoor green nook transforms the home into more than shelter. It becomes a sanctuary, a living companion, a reminder that nature belongs not only outside but beside us, within reach. Picture a reading corner by a wide window. A vertical rack stands tall, lined with leafy houseplants, monstera, philodendron, spider plants that reach toward the light. As the sun moves, their shadows shift across the wall, weaving patterns that feel alive. Sitting with a book in this nook is never lonely. The plants seem to breathe with you, steady and calm, reminding you that stories are not only in words but also in leaves. Now imagine a small desk where work and greenery share space. Built into the surface is a planter box filled with tiny succulents and herbs. As you type or write, the fragrance of mint drifts upward, grounding your mind and refreshing your focus. The glow of the lamp falls gently across their leaves, turning the workspace into something more human, more connected. Here, productivity feels less mechanical, more like a rhythm in harmony with nature. In the living room, a corner bursts with life. Hanging ferns sway slightly as the air moves, pothose trails downward like ribbons of green, and sunlight pours across the floor. The scene feels both abundant and calming, a quiet reminder that nature does not demand attention but offers it freely. Guests enter and their eyes soften. They feel welcome, as though the space itself is embracing them. Indoor green nooks are not about grandeur but intimacy. They prove that even a shelf, a corner, a desk, or a window can carry the spirit of the forest. They invite us to weave nature into our daily rituals. Reading, working, resting. Each plant becomes a companion, each shadow a painting, each breath of green air a gentle gift. In these spaces, we learn that harmony is not found in escaping the indoors but in inviting nature in. With every leaf, every pot, every corner filled with green, the house transforms into a home that listens, soothes, and quietly reminds us we are part of nature, too. A garden is not only for us. It can be a sanctuary for life beyond our own. When we design with birds, bees, and butterflies in mind, we create spaces that hum with energy, filled with wings, songs, and quiet exchanges between species. Wildlife-friendly gardens remind us that beauty is richer when it is shared. Imagine a wooden bird bath placed in a sunny corner. Its shallow bowl glistens with water, and in the warmth of the morning, small birds gather to drink and play. Their wings flicker like jewels as droplets scatter into the air. Around the bath, plants lean in, framing the scene with softness. This simple structure brings joy not only to the creatures it serves, but also to the human heart that watches quietly, witnessing a moment of harmony. Along the garden's edge, an insect hotel stands like a tiny fortress of kindness. Made of bamboo tubes, stacked wood, and natural fibers, it offers shelter for bees, ladybugs, and other pollinators. In the daylight, the air is alive with motion as bees hover, butterflies land, and small wings hum against the silence. What was once just a corner of wood has become a lifeline, sustaining the invisible workers who keep gardens blooming and food growing. And in the flower beds, color becomes invitation. Lavender sways in the breeze, marigolds shine brightly, and daisies nod with cheerful faces. Butterflies arrive, their wings catching sunlight in a dance that feels almost ethereal. Bees weave between blossoms, gathering nectar and leaving behind the promise of more blooms to come. Standing among these flowers, you feel part of a larger rhythm, one where every petal and wing contributes to life's ongoing song. Wildlife-friendly gardens teach us that stewardship is simple yet profound. By offering water, shelter, and food, we open doors to species that enrich our world in quiet ways. These small acts ripple outward. Pollinators strengthen harvests, birds bring music, butterflies remind us of transformation. In the end, such a garden is not just a personal haven. It is a gift to the earth. It shows that our spaces can be both beautiful and generous, that our designs can nurture not only the eye but also the ecosystem. And as the garden fills with movement and sound, we realize that the truest beauty is found when we live not alone, but together with all that breathes. As our time together gently draws to an end, let us carry with us the quiet lessons whispered by nature. Every small creation, every thoughtful detail, reminds us that beauty is not something distant or unreachable. It is here, in the touch of wood softened by time, in the curve of a leaf that leans toward the sun, in the simple joy of water flowing gently across stone. In every story we've shared today, there is an invitation to pause, to breathe, and to see your own space with new eyes. A garden corner, a handmade piece of furniture, or even the light falling through a window, each one can become a sanctuary when we choose to treat it with care and imagination. These little sanctuaries do not just decorate our homes. They restore our hearts, reminding us that peace can be shaped with our own hands. Here at TERAFLORA Studio, we believe that creativity is a quiet path, walked step by step, with patience and joy. And though this video ends, the journey continues, each day offering new chances to shape life with intention, to listen more closely to nature, and to weave calm into the fabric of your home. If this moment has brought you even a spark of inspiration, I invite you to walk further with us. Subscribe to TERAFLORA Studio and let each video be a soft companion in your days, guiding, inspiring, and filling your world with gentle beauty. Together, we will grow not only gardens, but also moments of peace, one story, one creation, one breath at a time. Until we meet again, may your days be calm, your spaces filled with light, and your heart open to the quiet wonders around you.